When a man shuts down emotionally and goes silent, it's easy to think you did something wrong. You start replaying conversations in your head, overanalyzing your tone, your words, your attitude. You wonder, did I say too much? Did I not say enough? But the truth is, his silence isn't always about you. In fact, most of the time it's not. Men are wired differently when it comes to processing pain, stress, and emotion. While many women are conditioned to talk things out, seek support, and unpack their feelings, men are often raised with the belief that vulnerability is weakness and silence is strength. From a young age, men hear phrases like, "man up," "don't cry," or "handle it yourself." That conditioning doesn't disappear just because he's in a relationship. If anything, it kicks in stronger when he's hurting, confused, or overwhelmed. So when he shuts down, he's not necessarily trying to punish you. He's trying to figure out what's going on inside him without dragging you into the mess until he can make sense of it himself. When a man feels pressure, he internalizes it. He retreats into a place where he can think clearly, or at least try to. Silence becomes his coping mechanism, his emotional timeout. He's not doing it to be cold, distant, or dismissive. He's doing it because that's how he survives emotionally. And here's the key: his silence is not a reflection of his love or lack of love for you. It's not an attack. It's a defense. It can feel personal, especially when communication is how you cope. You may want answers, explanations, reassurance. But the moment you demand clarity during his silence, it can feel like pressure to him. And pressure only pushes him deeper into his shell. Instead of opening up, he shuts down harder. Not because you're wrong, but because he's not ready. That silence is not about punishing you. It's about protecting his pride, his mind, and sometimes his heart. Sometimes the silence is his way of not saying something he'll regret. Sometimes it's his effort to not show weakness in front of the person he cares about the most. And in many cases, he doesn't have the emotional vocabulary to describe what he's feeling. So instead of saying, "I feel overwhelmed," he says nothing. Instead of saying, "I'm scared," he disappears into his thoughts. Instead of crying, he just grows quiet. That's not rejection, that's confusion. That's fear. That's unprocessed pain. What many women don't see is that during that silence, he's asking himself 100 questions. Am I enough? Can I handle this? What happens if I open up and it's taken the wrong way? And because he doesn't want to appear weak, even to the one person he trusts, he holds it all in. It's not about not loving you. It's about not knowing how to express what he's going through without feeling judged, exposed, or misunderstood. You may be tempted to fill the silence with questions or try to force a response. But the more you chase him during that emotional retreat, the more cornered he feels. And men don't respond well to emotional cornering. They respond to emotional safety. What he needs is your quiet understanding, your calm energy, and your patience. Not accusations, not assumptions, just your presence. A man opens up not when he's pressured, but when he feels safe. Safe to be vulnerable, safe to be unsure, safe to not have it all figured out. If you can give him that emotional space, the room to breathe, think, and reset, he will come back not only ready to talk, but grateful that you didn't turn his silence into a war. That's how trust grows. That's how intimacy deepens, not by demanding communication in the moment, but by respecting the way he processes emotion. His silence isn't avoidance, it's his process. And understanding that is one of the most powerful ways you can support a man during his emotional low. So the next time he grows quiet, Take a breath before reacting. Know that it's not always a signal of distance. Sometimes it's a signal that he's doing his best to handle something he can't explain yet. And when he does come out of that silence, when he finally speaks, listen. Not just to the words, but to the courage it took to say them. When a man is going through something, when he's emotionally drained, mentally exhausted, or feeling like the weight of the world is sitting on his shoulders, the last thing he needs is more pressure. What he truly craves, even if he can't say it out loud, is peace. He needs to know that when he turns to the person he loves, he's not walking into another battlefield. He needs to feel like home isn't where the noise gets louder, but where it finally quiets down. Peace doesn't mean pretending everything's perfect. It means being calm in the chaos. It means being a soft place to land when everything else feels hard. When a man is silent or withdrawn, it doesn't always mean he's trying to push you away. It means he's trying to protect you from what's brewing inside of him. Sometimes the chaos in his mind is so loud, so overwhelming, that he doesn't have the words to explain it. In those moments, what makes a difference isn't someone demanding answers or pushing for conversation. It's someone simply being there without judgment, without interrogation. Someone who understands that love isn't always loud. Sometimes love is silent support. It's patience. It's understanding the difference between giving space and creating distance. Many women want to help, and that's natural. You love him, you want to fix it, you want him to talk, to explain, to come back to himself, but men don't respond to pressure the way women often do. Where pressure might bring out words from one person, it can shut another down completely. What feels like concern to you might feel like criticism to him. What feels like love from your point of view might feel like pressure from his. That's why it's so important to tune in not just to what you feel, but to how he processes. Be his peace, not his storm. Being his peace means not matching his frustration with your own. It means not turning his silence into an argument. It means not assuming the worst when he's just trying to breathe. It means holding space for him to come to you when he's ready, not on your timeline, but on his. And that requires maturity. It requires a deep understanding that love is about balance, knowing when to speak and when to stay still, when to comfort and when to just coexist quietly until he can find his way back. Peace is created in the little things. It's in the way you don't roll your eyes when he's quiet. It's in the way you say, "I'm here" when you need me, and actually mean it. It's in the way you still make his plate, still check in without demanding answers, still sit next to him even if he hasn't said much all day. Those little actions, that's the peace he remembers. That's the energy he gravitates toward when his world feels like it's falling apart. He might not say it, but he feels it, and he needs it more than you know. A man who is struggling emotionally doesn't need to be fixed. He needs to be felt. He needs to be understood without explanation. He needs someone who doesn't see his silence as rejection, but as a signal that he's going through something. Be the person he can breathe around, not the person who suffocates him with demands and doubts. If you keep pressing him when he's shutting down, you'll push him further into himself. But if you let him feel safe, if you show him you're not going anywhere, even when things get heavy, that's when he starts to come back, not just physically, but emotionally. Peace also comes with tone. How you say things matters. You can ask how he's doing in a way that invites love or in a way that adds weight. Saying, "You never talk to me," sounds like blame. Saying, I know you're going through something and I'm here for you when you're ready, sounds like support. Peace isn't about silence. It's about emotional safety. It's about knowing that he can be in your presence and not feel the need to perform, to pretend, to push down whatever he's feeling. That's the kind of peace that sticks with a man long after the storm has passed. Being his peace doesn't mean losing your voice or ignoring your own needs. It just means knowing the right time to speak them. It means recognizing that when he's already battling his own mind, adding more pressure won't help. Being his peace means being strong enough to sit in uncertainty, secure enough to know his silence isn't personal, and wise enough to give him what he can't ask for out loud. When a man is already feeling low, stressed, or emotionally disconnected, the way you speak to him can either build him up or tear him down. It's not always what you say, it's how you say it. And if you want him to open up, trust you, and feel safe in your presence, you've got to learn how to speak with care, not criticism. See, men are wired to protect their pride. It doesn't mean they're full of ego. It means they've been taught that being soft or showing weakness is dangerous. So when the woman he loves starts sounding like another critic, another voice telling him what he's not doing right, he won't rise up, he'll shut down. You could be saying the right thing with the wrong tone, and it'll never land. You might be trying to express how you feel, but if it comes out like an attack, all he hears is judgment. And when a man feels judged, he doesn't explain, he escapes. Not physically, but emotionally. He checks out, he withdraws, he starts choosing silence over connection. And not because he doesn't care, but because he doesn't feel safe enough to be vulnerable anymore. Let me tell you something. A man will never forget how you spoke to him when he was at his lowest. If your voice sounded like blame, like shame, like disappointment, that sticks with him. And it doesn't matter how much he loves you, a man will protect his peace before he pleads for your understanding. So if every conversation feels like a test or a lecture, don't be surprised when he stops showing up emotionally. A man wants a teammate, not a warden. He wants support, not scolding. Now, this doesn't mean you can't express your feelings. You're allowed to speak your truth. But there's a difference between honesty and hostility, between expressing and attacking. Instead of saying, you never open up to me, try saying, I miss feeling connected to you. That one shift turns a complaint into an invitation. Instead of saying, you don't care about this relationship, say, I care about us and I want us to feel close again. It's the same message, but one makes him feel blamed, the other makes him feel wanted. And here's another truth. Men don't open up when they're backed into a corner. They open up when they feel seen and understood. When your words are soft, patient, and full of care, you give him permission to take the armor off. But when your words sound like an emotional checklist or a guilt trip, he starts thinking, why even try? You see, criticism puts a man on defense. Care puts a man in a position to connect. It might not seem like a big deal in the moment, a sarcastic tone here, a cutting remark there, but those moments add up. A man remembers how you made him feel. If your words make him feel like he's constantly not enough, he'll start distancing himself emotionally, not to hurt you, but to protect what little pride he has left. No man wants to feel like he's failing in the one place he should feel most valued. Even when you're hurt, even when you're frustrated, speak with care. That doesn't make you weak. That makes you wise. It means you're strong enough to lead with love, not ego. It means you understand that love is not about winning arguments. It's about protecting connection. It's about creating an environment where both people can be real without fear of being torn down for it. A man doesn't need perfection. He doesn't even need all the answers. But what he does need is someone who talks to him like he matters, even when things aren't. Someone who can call him out without tearing him down. Someone who can say the hard things but with soft hands. That kind of voice, that sticks. That inspires. That makes him want to grow, not run. Because in a world that often tells him he's not enough, your voice, when spoken with care, can remind him that he still is. When a man is going through something heavy, whether it's stress, emotional pain, confusion, or just life weighing on him, he may retreat into himself. He may get quiet, distant, or simply unavailable in a way that's hard to understand. And the natural response, especially from someone who loves him, is to want to fix it, to pull him back, to get answers right now. But the truth is, if you want him to truly open up, to really trust you with what he's feeling deep down, you have to let him lead the timing. You have to be patient enough to let him come forward when he's ready, not when you think he should be ready. Men often process things in silence, not because they don't care and not because they don't want to share. It's because they were raised, trained, and conditioned to believe that emotions are something to deal with privately. Vulnerability to many men feels like weakness. So before they can open up to anyone else, they have to wrestle with themselves first. They have to get to a place where they're okay not having all the answers, not being in full control. And that process, that takes time. Time that doesn't run on your clock, but on theirs. When you rush him to talk before he's ready, you might get words, but not truth. You might get surface-level explanations, but not what's really going on inside. And sometimes, the worst thing you can do is force a conversation when he's not emotionally prepared for it. Because instead of building connection, it creates resistance. He feels pressured, cornered, and misunderstood. And the more you try to pull the words out of him, the more he shuts down, not because he doesn't want to be close, but because he feels like you're trying to take something from him that he hasn't worked through yet. Letting him lead the timing doesn't mean staying silent forever. It means showing patience and presence in a way that tells him, I'm here, and I'm not leaving just because you're quiet. It means trusting that when he's ready, he will come to you, not out of obligation, but out of real trust. And that kind of conversation, that kind of opening, it's deep, it's real, and it creates the kind of bond that doesn't break under pressure. You might have moments where you feel rejected or pushed aside. You might wonder if he's lost interest, if something's wrong in the relationship. But you have to separate his emotional timing from his emotional commitment. Just because he's not opening up in your moment of need doesn't mean he doesn't care. It means he's trying to protect his inner world until it makes sense to share it. Men often wait until they have clarity before they communicate, and forcing them to speak mid-confusion only deepens the chaos. The key is to stay steady while he's figuring it out. Keep being kind. Keep being consistent. Keep showing up in the small ways, through your tone, your patience, your touch, your understanding. Those little things speak louder than any demand ever will. They say, I respect your pace. I'm not trying to control your process. I'm here to walk with you, not drag you forward. It's not easy, especially if your emotional style is to talk things out, to vent, to resolve things quickly. But relationships aren't about matching styles. They're about learning each other's rhythms and respecting them. When you let a man open up in his time, you're not giving up your voice. You're honoring his process. And that kind of respect, that creates safety. And safety is what leads to real vulnerability. You have to understand that sometimes silence isn't a wall, it's a pause. It's space for reflection. It's time for him to find the right words, the right emotions, the right truth. And when he finally comes forward, it's because he feels ready, not because he felt. And that's the difference between a man who talks and a man who trusts. Timing matters. Let him lead it. Because when he does, he's not just talking. He's choosing to let you in. And that's where the real connection begins. When a man is at his lowest, when life has hit him hard, when he feels like he's failing or falling apart, that's when your words hold the most power. Not just the kind of power that comforts in the moment, but the kind that reminds him of who he is, even when he's forgotten it himself. When a man is weak, vulnerable, or lost, it's easy for him to start questioning his value. In those moments, what he needs more than advice, more than solutions, is affirmation, not flattery, not pity, but real, grounded affirmation of his worth. The kind that says, I still see you, even when you don't see yourself. Men are often raised with the idea that their worth is tied to performance. If they're providing, producing, achieving, they feel valued. But the minute something slips, a job, a plan, a role, they start to feel invisible, less useful, less manly. That's when the inner voice starts whispering lies. You're not good enough. You're falling behind. You're not who you used to be. And when that inner dialogue starts playing on repeat, it takes a toll on a man's confidence, his identity, and even his relationships. That's why your voice matters so much in those moments, because your words can interrupt the lies he's telling himself. Your presence can remind him that he's still worthy, not for what he does, but for who he is. But here's the thing. You have to be intentional. When a man is weak, he's sensitive, even if he pretends not to be. He might act tough, even distant, but deep down, he's listening. He's paying attention to how you respond to his lowest moments. If you speak life into him, you become his safe place. But if you use his weakness to criticize, shame, or compare, you confirm the fears he's already fighting. Affirmation doesn't mean sugarcoating reality. It doesn't mean ignoring flaws or pretending things are perfect. It means choosing to speak to his potential instead of his problems. It means looking him in the eye and saying, I know things are hard, but I believe in you. It's telling him, you're still strong even when you're tired, or you're still valuable even when you don't have all the answers. That kind of reassurance goes deeper than you think. It speaks to the part of him that's afraid he's letting you down. It calms the voice that says he's not enough. You might not always understand what he's going through, and that's okay. You don't have to fix it. You just have to show up with love that's not dependent on him being perfect. Because when a man sees that your respect doesn't disappear in his weakness, he begins to trust you on a deeper level. He realizes that your love isn't just for the highlight reel, it's for the behind the scenes too. And that trust builds intimacy that isn't shaken by setbacks. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is remind him of what he's already overcome. Say things like, I've seen you get through worse, or I've never stopped believing in you. Those words create emotional fuel. They make him want to keep going. They remind him that he's not alone in the struggle. You become not just his partner, but his mirror, reflecting back the strength he forgot he had. Affirmation also lives in your actions, in how you treat him when he's down, in how you touch him when he's distant, in how you support him without smothering him. Even the smallest gestures, cooking a meal, sending a message of encouragement, choosing a tone that's soft instead of sharp, all speak volume. They say, I'm not here for the version of you that's always winning. I'm here for the real you, even the tired you, even the unsure you. When a man feels that kind of support, not conditional, not critical, not performative, it does something to him. It shifts something inside. He starts to believe that maybe he can get through what he's facing, not just because he's strong, but because someone he loves still sees his worth even when he doesn't feel it himself. That's the kind of love that doesn't just hold him, it helps rebuild him. And it stays with him long after the moment has passed.